It's time to look at another eBay find. This is a Puremate PM100, and I recently took this apart. Well, I took the cover off and showed the inside in a recent live stream, but now it is time for its own video. See little LEDs stuck down here. Active, power, and a red LED that says low V. Not quite sure what that's for. I wonder if it's to do with internal plate voltage, because this is a sort of air purifying device, but kind of almost slightly quackish in a way. So this is the PM100, but there's also another identical looking unit called the Heaven Fresh HF100. I get the feeling they're all from the same factory, but marketed either by the same company or different companies. Goodness knows. But well, tell you what, let's show you operating first. If I hold it up to the microphone here, you may hear a bit of air blowing against the microphone. That's because this unit, though it's very, very quiet, is putting out quite a strong breeze. And it's worth mentioning that though it's described in this manual as an ionic air purifier, in reality, if I bring in my meter and I turn it on and I ground the negative electrode onto a suitable ground, a soldering station here, and I hold the other electrode in front of the air output here, you don't get a terribly high charge. I mean, it's there, but it's not really in the sense of a traditional ioniser, unless it's down to the fact that it's blowing out a fair amount of airflow. But there are no moving parts. Well, unless you include the electrons. Right, okay, let's open this up. This is what we do. Oh, incidentally, this gnarled looking bit here is a little container that can unscrew, and you put in aroma granules. I wonder if the aroma granules are to hide the fact that it puts out a fair amount of ozone. As it is, the person that originally had this, that I bought it off from eBay, had put the vanilla aroma granules in, and it's that vanillin, that raw chemical. It absolutely stinks. It's very hard getting the aroma out of it, even though I removed those granules. It has contaminated it. Okie dokie. So here's what's inside. Let's short this out just in case it holds a charge. So we've got a set of spikes, really sharp, stainless steel spikes, and what appears to be an aluminium plate in the front. I wonder why they chose aluminium for that. Is it because it's less sharp? Or just easier to punch out in that way? The aluminium is fairly ozone resistant. There is a strange patterning here. I don't know if that's because they've laser cut this. Aluminium's normally quite hard to laser cut, but maybe they've done that, or maybe it's just the effect of the charged air and the ozone. There is a module here. So let's see, we've got power coming on this circuit board. There's a polarity protection diode going across to this circuit board. Then we've got 3 wires going across to this circuit board with quite a bit of circuitry on it. And then we've got a couple of diodes and a transistor on this. But the bit that's actually generating the voltage is this module here. Let's flip this off. Needless to say, I'll reverse engineer as much as possible. This is entirely potted. Well, it's not entirely potted, it's well potted in resin. I can see the classic high voltage transformer though. I'll just zoom down on this. It's the multi-segmented high voltage transformer. I can see at least 3 potted ceramic capacitors here, high voltage ceramic, so there will be diodes to support those. That will be a voltage multiplier in here. And then I can only see 1 transistor sticking up. That suggests it may just be a simple feedback system to drive the primary of this transformer, and then the output, because it only runs at 12 volts, but the output will then be extremely high voltage. The high voltage is applied, it will be DC, most likely negative on this stainless steel plate, positive on this plate, and because of that, and the sharp points and the opposite charge, it will create quite a strong, it creates quite a strong corona discharge at the tip of these spikes, and it creates a really surprising airflow. Like, there's no fan or anything like that, it's purely the ionic breeze, as Sharper Image used to say, whereby the air gets charged negatively and then it gets attracted towards the positive plate and it creates quite a strong airflow. But this unit is fundamentally, it's not so much an ioniser as a ozone generator. Right, tell you what, I'm going to whip these circuit boards out. And quite odd that one is right next to there. And I'm going to test them. I'm going to see what that low voltage LED is about. But I shall go and do that now, and I shall reverse engineer it and draw the schematic out. I don't think I'm going to try potting this because it would take quite some time, and I can pretty much guess it is just a simple feedback circuit and then a multiplier on the outside. So it's mainly the other circuit boards I'm going to look at just to see how they work. So I shall be back in 1 moment. Reverse engineering has been done. Here are all the pictures at once. So this is the circuit board here that regulates the supply voltage to the ion module. This is the front of the circuit board, and this is the back, but with the image flipped so everything relates. I made a slight mess of this. The orange indicates the incoming positive, and the red indicates the outgoing regulated positive supply. It's not that much of a mess up. I'd rather swap those two colours. It doesn't really matter. The other circuit board is very strange, as I'll show you the schematic. That's the best way to show it. But again, this is the top and this is the back that has been flipped. So if you want to take a snapshot and have a go at reverse engineering yourself, then you can. But let's move on to the schematic. Things worthy of note. There are two Zener diodes and a transistor that is used as a voltage regulator. It's a very simple voltage regulator, but it controls the output of the ioniser. So by setting the voltage threshold of these Zeners, it sets the output to the ioniser module, the high voltage module. These two transistors are for the low voltage detection. I thought it might have been to detect when the plates were getting dirty and, you know, there was some maybe sort of tracking or the voltage was dropping on it, but it's not. It's the incoming supply. If it goes below about 10 volts or so, a warning light comes on just to show you that the supply voltage is low. It's very strange, as most of the circuitry seems to be before that. It's the most complex bit. Let's take a look at the circuitry. I shall zoom down on this. That seems like a good idea. So PCB1, that's this little PCB over here with a connector on it, has a diode and a connector. That is it. So that's basically at the end here. This is the 12 volts coming on. There's the polarity protection diode, which is good, and then it goes across with that to the wiring loom of PCB2. This being PCB2, which is the voltage regulator circuit board. There's a switch that switches between the two Zener diodes. One is 10.45 volts and one is 8 volts. And there's a 1K resistor which limits the current to those Zener diodes. So it sets a specific voltage on the base of this transistor, which is a 9013. What that means is that because normally an NPN transistor would have its emitter connected to the 0 volt rail, but in this case it's got its collector tied to the positive rail. And that means that as the voltage above this high voltage power supply rises, it reaches the point, the transistor will be turned on until the voltage above this rises to about, is at just 0.6 away from the voltage set by the Zener diodes, and then that transistor will start going into its semi-conducting stage. It will go in its linear region, and effectively it will just act as a resistor that limits the current. It's basically just a voltage regulator to the high voltage supply until it matches the voltage set in these Zener diodes. And the high-low just simply switches between those two Zeners. There's also, across the high voltage power supply, there's a 2K2 resistor which then goes out to a 3-pin connector. That's the, well, it's not a 3-pin connector, it's 5, but it's got the oncoming positive and negative supply, but then it's got 3 connections going out to the other circuit board. Those go out to this connector on this circuit board, and then it all gets a bit weird. I'm just going to tuck these out of the way. They're sliding everywhere. One of the LEDs, the active LED, is in parallel with the high voltage module via that 2K2 resistor. That's strange. In a way, I'm not that keen on this circuit board being here I don't like the fact it's directly in the vicinity of the high voltage circuitry, and it just seems a bit pointless actually, as if, you know, they could have just stuck an LED on this board with that resistor and just power on, that's it. I don't understand the low voltage thing, but I'll show you how the low voltage thing works. So that active LED lights with the voltage across the high voltage power supply, and if you actually toggle this switch, you can see a very slight intensity change in that LED. It also supplies 12 volts to this module PCB3, and it's got the power indicator, which is just an LED and a resistor, so ultimately pretty much doing the same as that. I'm not sure why this is. Diagnostic LEDs? I mean, it does give diagnostic functions, but it's strange. So there's another Zener diode, and this Zener diode will conduct as long as the voltage is above about 9 volts. And what that means is that 9 volts plus about 0.6 volts to make this transistor conduct, and there's a little 100 nanofarad disc capacitor just to avoid any sort of glitching if there's sort of transient dips in the voltage, which there's not likely to be. It's very strange. But either way, when the voltage is high enough, it turns this transistor on. This transistor then pulls the base of this PNP transistor to the 0 volt rail, which turns it on, and it shorts out that LED. Current just flows through that transistor, through that resistor to ground, and the LED stays off if the voltage is high enough. If the voltage goes so low that it goes below about 9.6 volts, this Zener diode will stop conducting, this transistor will turn off, then this transistor will be pulled high via these resistors here, and it will effectively, because it's PNP, it will turn off, and then the current can flow through the LED and the resistor, and it makes the red LED light saying low voltage. It doesn't cut the power supply to anything off. It just purely, all this circuitry here is just to say that the power supply is low voltage. I can't imagine a scenario that's going to occur. That's very strange. But that is it. It's a weird circuit. So really you could just chop this circuit board off. It wouldn't make any difference. This circuitry here is just purely for that indication. It's a bit odd. So the other things worth noting about this unit, let me think, is there anything particularly special that I should mention? Yes, there is. This front positive connection, this positive of the high voltage side, let me grab the meter. I shall zoom out for this. If I turn the meter on and I set it to continuity, and I go to the negative here, then it is connected to the circuit negative, which kind of means that any ions that come out, well, it's not effectively grounded, I don't think, through this power supply. I don't think the power supply is anything special. But it does reference all the circuitry to that front plate, which is the circuitry's ground as such, which means that the likelihood of any ions actually escaping into the environment are kind of low. It's very strange. What it will do is it will effectively charge dust as it goes by, and potentially the dust will be attracted to the positive pole, and it does say you can clean these with a wee cotton swab. It will take dust out, but the only way to find out if it actually ionizes the air is to do the usual test, to put it on a piece of white paper, leave it sitting on it for a long time running, and see if it creates a sort of dark outline. But having said that, as I mentioned in other videos, creating a high voltage, if you've got a little switch mode supply like this that's isolated, it's not got a earth connection, it's got a plastic pin here, there is a slight risk that if it was ionizing, it would create a high voltage differential between the power supply in here and ground, and it could actually cause insulation breakdown in this. So maybe that's part of the reason they do that. It's a bit strange. Everything's strange about this unit. But what isn't strange is the fact that it is what I would categorize as a fairly competent ozone generator. I wouldn't be comfortable with this in my bedroom at night unless it was a very, very big bedroom. If you do have one of these and you wake up in the morning with a hoarse throat, turn the power off to this unit one night and see if you wake up with a hoarse throat. If you don't have a sore throat in the morning, this may actually be putting out too much ozone. I would say that I don't have a huge thing against controlled amounts of ozone, but this sort of unit I would expect to be used as a whole house unit to actually create just that little sniff of ozone into the air that once diffused throughout the whole house, it doesn't pose a sort of irritant. But certainly, when this thing's running, it's very easy to see the purple dot of the corona discharge on the tip of each of these spikes. Strange unit. I mean, it's a nicely made unit. It works very well for what it does. It creates that really impressive flow of air electrostatically, and it does create a good, decent level of ozone that would be acceptable for a large type building. It's strange, altogether very strange. And then they add aroma, which is, you know, that ozone is supposed to get rid of aromas, but then they've got that little capsule that screws out from the outside. And you pull the cap off and you fill it with the odour granules. Very strange. Nonetheless, it does what it's supposed to do. It creates, well, it's an ozone generator. It creates ozone. It has a completely superfluous circuit board here. An interesting voltage regulator there, and a fairly decent potted high voltage module here. And I like the construction of this. I've actually ordered another one from online from eBay, partly because I want to change out that power supply to a mains powered one, but a sort of safe mains powered one, and just see how much current is required to create a strong ion flow. But interesting device, nicely made. That's about it. A nicely made ozone generator is about all I can really say.